Did you know that each year 17 million adults are affected by depression? As tragic as depression is for adults, it seems particularly cruel when it ravages young children. As many as 1 in 33 children and 1 in 8 adolescents suffer from depression. Harvard Health Newsletter states, the rate of increase of depression among children is an alarming 23%. And Psychiatric Services estimates that 2.4% of preschoolers or children under 5 are clinically depressed. I know how gut-wrenching childhood depression can be, for both a child and for the child's family. Some of you have all suffered from depression, know somebody else's child that has suffered from it, or you may be suffering from it right now. It is heart-wrenching to watch a person struggle through their sadness, and I know that you would all do almost anything to bring them out from their depression. My brother struggled with childhood depression. He was born in Papua New Guinea and lived there until 1987 when my parents decided to move back to the United States. He was 6 years old when his world had been completely torn apart. Because of the drastic move, the culture change, the new school, and new country, Jesse completely forgot how to read, and he had been reading less since he was 4. He also suffered from a lack of interaction with other students at school. He said that he would often put his head in his desk and just cry. Antidepressants may be a popular treatment for adults. However, my research has convinced me that there are far better alternatives in treating childhood depression than the current method of prescribing antidepressants. I would like to persuade you all to stand with me to learn about 3 different reasons for why antidepressants are not an effective or safe treatment for children, and also to learn 3 alternative treatments for childhood depression. Let me begin by presenting various sources that state that antidepressants are not an effective treatment for childhood depression. Sammy Tinney, a child and adolescent psychiatrist, in the British Medical Journal pertaining to use of antidepressants in treating childhood depression, stated, the medical profession had endorsed the use of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors well before any of the big studies on children were published. Now that studies have been done, the evidence is clear. The drugs are not effective in young people and can increase suicidal behavior. She went on to add that a systematic review found the unpublished trials showed that newer antidepressants were even less effective and more harmful for children than suggested in clinical trials. To me, this child and adolescent psychiatrist found that drugs are ineffective. She also stated in the article that they were dangerous. Timmy believes that they can increase suicidal behavior. By continuing to use SSRIs, we're putting our children in danger, and it is also ethically unsound. Science Daily reported that an adult taking antidepressants has a 36% increased risk of subsequent suicide, leading to hospitalization. A medicated child has an even greater risk than that of a medicated adult. In addition to antidepressants being dangerous, there are also other adverse side effects that need to be noted. Columbia University found that the long-term effects of Prozac, the main antidepressant prescribed to children with emotional disorders, are still unknown, meaning that we don't know how they affect the child's mind or body in long term. Science Daily believes that they lead to increased risks of cardiovascular disease, liver failure, and strokes. It is clear that antidepressants are not an effective treatment for childhood depression and that they are even dangerous in some cases. So if medication is not an alternative, then what other options are there? One of the options that I found is therapy. Therapy is a way to overcome depression. There are many various types of therapy. There's family therapy. Many therapists help children to overcome depression through artistic expressions, but the most common that I found was family therapy. Mayo Clinic suggests that family therapy for depressed children allows the family to examine and solve problems together. They can express thoughts and share emotions with the suffering child, and together as a family unit overcome the depression. A second is a healthy diet as a way to overcome depression. Dr. Frank Lawless, the author of The IQ Nurse, a book that informs parents through a number of natural techniques, ways that will strengthen the body and mind for the child to fight against depression, believes that children who suffer from a poor diet or lack of sleep develop depression because the brain isn't able to function at its full capacity. He believes that food and sleep are essential in overcoming depression. Lastly, exercise is a way to help fight depression. The Norwegian Knowledge Center, in a study in health sciences in 2006, compared antidepressants to exercise. They found that there appears to be a small effect in favor of exercising in reducing depression and anxiety scores in the general population for children and adolescents. The British Sports Medicine Journal found that in order for the brain to maintain a stable mood, it has to have significant levels of serotonin, a chemical produced by the brain. Depression has been linked in many cases to inadequate levels of serotonin in the brain, and depression has been linked to inadequate levels of serotonin in the brain, so it appears that exercise may raise the level of serotonin in the brain and therefore decrease the chance of depression in a child. The mainstream medical opinion has expressed the effectiveness of relying on antidepressants to overcome childhood depression. However, I believe that I have demonstrated to you that they are ineffective, potentially harmful to children, and we need to protect our children. I have offered to you what I believe to be valid alternative treatments such as family therapy, a balanced diet, and exercise as far better treatment options for children. And I hope that I have persuaded you to stand with me in this. At the opening of this speech, I told you about my brother who suffered from depression upon his arrival to the U.S. after leaving Papua New Guinea for the first 6 years of his life. Jesse was never medicated with any type of antidepressant when he was sad as a child. His medication was a loving, supportive family structure, home-cooked meals, and the ability to go outside and build forts and run around outside in the woods, as any 6-year-old boy loves. Jesse graduated from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee with an architecture degree, and he is now studying his Master's of Divinity at Liberty University successfully. Some children are just sad and they need to be encouraged out of it, and they need a family structure that is supportive of them. They need a healthy diet, and they need exercise. I would like to close with proposing one question for all of you. How are you going to make a difference in the life of a loved one now that you've been educated in alternative options in the fight against depression?